Okay, hello and welcome everyone to our July town hall. Thanks everyone for joining. I'm just clicking here, Nico, we're joining the call now. This is a pretty exciting one. We've got some exciting news to share. For those who do follow us on Twitter, you may have an inkling around maybe part of the exciting news that we'll share throughout this town hall. Okay, so before we start, let's maybe just do a bit of housekeeping and just speak around the agenda. So the agenda for today is we'll start with a welcome by Glenn, one of our co-founders, and then we'll move on to some of the on-the-ground impact, which Marie and Richard from Caesarea will talk about. And then we'll move on to the stories on impact by Hung, our branding magician. And then we'll pass the mic on to Greg, who will talk about the NFT. And then kind of going back to the Twitter announcement, it kind of links back to that. So just stay tuned for that. And then lastly, at the end of the town hall, we will get into a AMA. So if you do have a question, there's probably two ways to submit your questions, either through the chat function of Zoom. So throughout this town hall, think about any questions you want to ask, and you can either submit it in the chat, and then we'll ask the questions at the end. Otherwise, you can raise your hand. I think there is a button at the bottom of your screen where you can raise your hand and you can verbally ask a question. So those are the two ways you can ask the questions for the AMA. So again, we'll do that towards the end of the AMA, or towards the end of the town hall. So with that said, we can get started with the welcome. So I'll pass the mic on to you, Glenn, and then we can, start with the town hall.
Great, thanks, Blaine. Thanks, and welcome everybody. Great to have you aboard. I think it is, as you said, Blaine, it is an exciting time. We're in an exciting phase, I think, on the Empowa journey. So thanks to all of you who are here today watching, and who have been part of our journey and continue to be part of our journey going forward. Maria Deal and I were at the World Urban Forum last week. And the World Urban Forum is the UN-sponsored conference whereby literally, I think there were about 13,000 people who attended, all focused on the urban environment and the change and the challenges that the world has in terms of urban development, etc. And for us, it was really, it was both depressing and incredibly exciting to be there. Depressing for the reason that it's the same conversation, the same institutions having the same conversations. The only thing that changes is the numbers. And by the numbers, I mean the problems, the challenges just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So more millions of people needed, there's more urbanization, there's more poverty. So it's really, that part of it is quite depressing. The exciting part for us was the realization of how little innovation is happening on the ground, and the opportunity that actually really represents. So for innovative thinking and practical delivery, again, a huge issue. The number of people at one stage wanted to stop some of the conversations and say, has anybody ever delivered anything on the ground here? Because the conversations were all so theoretical. So for us, from that point of view, for both Maria and I, we came back incredibly energized. And in terms of that, I think the whole process around that is really exciting for the journey that Empowa is on. And right now, particularly the stage that we're at in our journey. So as you know, the whole objective for us those of you who've been on our journey and continue to go, we're looking to create maximum impact and create maximum reward for people who support that. And the whole idea of that is that's what today is about, is how we're achieving maximum impact and how we're getting there and how we're positioning for maximum reward. Now, it's taken us a little bit longer to get to this stage than we had hoped or anticipated. And I think the reason for that is because a lot of the innovation that we're doing is really innovative. And that's taken us longer than we anticipated. There's no copy and paste in anything that we're doing. We really are having to do it, having to explore it, and having to find our way. So where was I? At maximum impact and maximum reward. So the whole thing around it is how to get maximum impact on the ground, but reward those people and the community who support that journey. So today, that's what it's all about. And I want to take you back to the beginning of, if you remember, for those of you who've read the white paper or haven't read the white paper, but also challenge you to do that, because we have 3 markets effectively that we always knew we we're going to have to address in order to achieve the impact on the ground that we're looking for. And the starting point of that was the 3 markets were philanthropists, or people who are prepared to contribute to housing out of the goodness of their heart. Collectors, those who are looking at NFT collections to invest in terms of value appreciation, but also who want to have impact. And investors. And obviously those 3 categories are merged and overflow. But I think the really exciting thing in terms of those discussions is that the investor part for us has actually become really visible. And a lot of the discussions that Maria Deal and I had, it's happened far quicker than we had anticipated. So laying that as the foundation today, I just want to remind everybody that the maximum impact that we're talking about is both at the community level, and for those of you who have seen the World Mobile announcement, for us it's very exciting because the maximum impact of community, what we're doing together with them is hugely exciting. And then on the ground, the practical reality, what's happening for the people on the ground. And as I was talking earlier today, I just said, if only we could bottle that and share it, everybody could get as excited as we are about what we're doing on the ground. Obviously, that has to be balanced with the rewards. How do we reward that? How do we create this kind of momentum? How do we build this momentum? And that's what the objective is today. So we'll go through all of that in more detail today. Each person will talk to that as Blaine has outlined. But thank you for coming aboard. Thanks for being on our journey, and thanks for being part of this excitement. We look forward to it.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. So we'll pass the mic on to Maria and Richard for the on the ground report. So off to you guys.
Thank you, Blaine, and thank you, Glenn, and hello everyone. I'm very happy to share some more updates from the field. I won't actually speak to the detail. I'll leave that to Empowa's first delivery partner, Casa Real. And just to reconfirm our model of how we engage locally, how do we get housing on the ground that local communities find attractive and want to put their money down for, because it's not that they will just pay anything for it's not always easy to get local communities on board, and that's why we strongly believe you have to engage with local partners to deliver that. To reconfirm, Empowa aims to be a large and impactful property developer, but not, I cannot reconfirm it enough, not develop itself. That's why we work with these local delivery partners. We are now building a pipeline with trusted delivery partners for the short term. Those partners, the few that have already proven to successfully deliver affordable and greener houses to their local communities on the African continent. For the longer term, because we've also already said many times as Empowa that there's just not enough capacity to deliver the housing that's necessary. So even if we were to mobilize all the funding and get it to the right places, you still need local actors to help put that to the ground. So that's why we've launched the Affordable Housing Academy, and the Affordable Housing Academy will step by step in the medium future start bringing forward our delivery partners that we want to engage with. And we're so excited already to see the quality emerging there. But let me not speak too long, because the really exciting news comes from Casa Real, our partner to the on the ground in Mozambique. And Richard, Casa Real CEO, has a lot of beautiful stories to share. So Richard, over to you.
Hello, everyone. And I assume that some people on this platform do not know Casa Real. So I will introduce myself, Richard Bahumwire, the CEO of Casa Real, an entity an affordable housing company legally registered in Mozambique. And to date, we have, we can say we have been successful in setting up the company and building the first of our greatest affordable housing project. So far, we have around 150 houses ongoing, where we have completed 100, and we've learned lots of lessons and trying to build the partnerships, including this one with Empowa. We have also learned how affordable housing in Mozambique can possibly be achieved successfully. And we have gone through all of these templates, and we feel that it's now time to run. Normally, I tell Mario and Glenn that it's time to fly. So we took off now. We have reached at a time where actually we think we can fly. But throughout all this process that we have gone through, we have discovered that actually it's this discussion, the partnership that we are having now, because the previous systems, the what we call traditional funding, has not actually helped in delivering affordable housing. Actually, is we normally say it's a stumbling block, because the systems and the structures around, including not only the supply side, but also the demand side, is practically not working. And I would like to give you one example that recently we had one project, one phase, not actually the start of the project, but a phase within the middle where we needed to register funding that we were receiving from UK of around £240,000. And so we had to go through a system that we needed to register with the Central Bank of Mozambique. And I would like to tell you that it took us 6 months to get the money registered by the Central Bank and then receive the money on our account. This alone tells you how difficult the structures, the systems are, that the project we were asking to get the funding was for 3 months, but to get the money took us 6 months, literally, which means that if you are a developer, that even if you wanted to deliver within the 3 months, so you get the money in 9 months, that's what it means, that by the time you are building the house, you have already had a delay of 6 months before you start on your project. So we believe that this decentralized funding we are talking about in partnership with Empowa is going to actually trigger not only people having affordable housing, but also help the developer as Casreal to easily scale up within the period of time that we are talking about. It's not only that, that's just one example of what I'm talking about. If we then talk about the end user finance itself, people normally, I tell Mario Deal that people may be outside think that in Africa, people are not having affordable housing because they cannot afford to pay. And I normally say that is not true. They cannot afford to get access to finance for affordable housing because of the systems and the structures. So if you talk about interest rate, for example, in the banks, we are talking about commercial banks today, prime lending rate in Mozambique is 18, and we hear they are going to increase it again. So if you are lending prime rate to people at 18, what about what commercial bank will add? And also the insurance, you talk about down payment, you talk about collateral, which actually people do not have, but they have the capacity to pay monthly. And we have been able to prove this, that people can pay, because literally these people you're talking about, they pay rent, and every month cleanly they pay rent and they live, and salary, they are there spending the money. Only that the system we are talking about, the structures these examples I'm giving to you, then send all these people to have no access to the funding. I was muted. As Casa Real, we have gone through a test, pilot test to, for example, allowing people to pay in phases, allowing people to pay in monthly, others in phases, like in 3 phases. And we have seen that people are paying even without Casa Real calling them. Every month, we just see transfers coming to our account. And we feel that with this partnership with Empowa, then to scale, the sky is going to be the limit. So today I would like to inform everyone that once we got the green light of our partnership with Empowa, that we can start with the 30 clients, we started putting this to the market to tell the people, because we knew before when we tested this, we knew as Casa Real, we have seen that if we decided to put even one announcement outside, we felt that we will be overwhelmed by the waiting list. So we didn't say anything about coming, like to come to pay in phases or in rent as a program. We just tested it with few people that came to our offices, but that did not stop there. Then the word of mouth, people started talking with others and with others. So the time, it's now less than a month when we got the green light from Empowa, but we already have a short list, which actually we have vetted, we have selected of more than 50 people. So we feel like if we decided to publicize this outside, I don't know where we can put these clients that are coming for houses, because they are seeing this as the only solution. After failing all other processes, they are seeing this as the only solution that people are able to own houses, that people are able to access affordable housing. It's not to say that people are not living in houses. People are living in houses, but with difficulties. In Mozambique, for example, if we start talking about those who know that recently we had a series of cyclones that aggravated some situations of housing situation in Mozambique. And this is why Casa Real came up with systems and technical solutions to also build resilient homes that will be climate friendly and will be resilient contra against cyclone. So we feel that this partnership with Empowa is going to unlock the market, is going to not only help to people to access houses, but we think this is going to be a mover, is going to unlock the potentials not only in Mozambique, but also in Africa. As we feel that at scale, then we can replicate this. When I started sharing our stories, our journey as Casa Real, I started getting some messages. So can you come and replicate this in Angola? Can you come to Zambia? Can you come? I tell them we still need to fix in Mozambique. Then yes, at a certain point in time, why not? We can share our lessons. We can give you our templates, and then you can take it to scale. But what I would like to, maybe I will like to have questions, then it becomes easier for me to give more information, but there is potential. That's what I want to ensure everyone, not only potential as Casa Real, but as also investors, as also people who would like to see change, people who would like to see impactful investment or change on the ground. There is potential. Before, Mario Di normally tells me that you still remember when we were starting, it was only 1% of the population who could afford to go to the market and buy a house. But today, we are now beginning to talk about 60% of the population can come to Casa Real and get a very good house, resilient, affordable, and can live in a very good neighborhood, a very good environment. And we keep at scale, we will be even going furthermore to reduce the cost of the construction and make sure that more people, more than 60 people, can afford to have a house. And I would conclude by telling you good news that we've been talking to World Mobile as they will be coming to add value on our developments in Mozambique, as they are going to integrate internet connection and network issues fixing in Mozambique. So we feel this is going to add value, improve the communities, improve where the developments that we are going to be having on the ground. And also this is another impact that actually, had it not been the few houses we put on the ground, this wouldn't be, we would not be talking about this at this time. So proudly, I would like to thank everyone, and I feel so excited every time I see Blaine, I see Glenn, I see Mario Day trying to work hard to make sure that we contribute something to change Mozambique, especially in the affordable housing, when we know that it's not only a house, but it means a lot. It means health, it means education, it means the improved economy within the whole ecosystem. So thank you very much. If there is any question, I will be happy to answer that. And we keep chatting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. For those listening, I definitely recommend just looking at the numbers on the screen there. It's pretty, when I look at those numbers, it literally brings, brings tears to the eyes in a good way, because it is impact on the ground, as the title of the slide says. And if you have any questions, definitely plant them in your brain, and we can ask them at the end of the slideshow. But thanks, Richard. Always good hearing the word on the ground. I think we can move on to the next section with Hung, Stories of Impact. So if you're ready, Hung, our brand magician, the mic is handed over to you.
Thanks, Blaine. And thanks, Richard. It's always inspiring listening to your stories. Which always has a lot of effect on me. So yeah, if you can go to the next slide, Blaine. So just a disclaimer, this is not Richard, but an inspired story from at least Richard and more people. And stories fuel Empowa, so that we can empower the people who make the stories. Our ecosystem consists of people who are passionate about making an impact in the world. And the constructor is a representation of some of these people based on real events, real life events, people and stories. And on our website, we explain the backstory of the constructor to show everyone what impact the role can make on the Empowa ecosystem. And to do so, we use storytelling as a way of communicating complex topics. So if you go to the next slide, Blaine. As an example of how we use storytelling, we launched our first animation episode. You can find this also on the website and on our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. In the constructor's plan, that's the title of the animation, you will see how the main character found the seed of life and help inspire him. And it's just an example. In our storytelling series, we use different media to communicate the stories. So this one is an animation one. The next one could be a different form of storytelling. So in the future, we will keep launching new storytelling episodes to support our upcoming projects, and really to optimize the user experience of our ecosystem. So yeah, could you go to the next slide? So this is our Seed NFT. This is just a still image. The Seed NFT is a video. And in previous town halls, we told you about the structure and mechanism of impact cards and then Seed NFT. I won't cover the visual representation of the Seed NFT in detail, which has a very interesting concept behind it. You can read all about it on our website, and we'll release more information in due time. But what I can say is it mainly stands for potential, right? The potential each impact project could have in our ecosystem. And nurturing this potential will grow the community and will make the impact project succeed in its goals. And yeah, to keep it short, talking about impact project potential, I would like to invite Greg to talk about a project we're very excited about. Greg, you can take the stage.
Thanks, Hung. And hello, everyone. Thanks for dialing in. I think I have been given the honor to share the details for our first impact cards, or first impact project, the RealFI NFT. Then if you hop over to the first slide, I actually am going to skim over the slide quite quickly because I think Richard's done a fantastic job of highlighting the challenges of housing in Mozambique and the challenges we're trying to tackle. But if you move to the next slide, Lay, you will see some challenges around connectivity. And I think that that's an equally frustrating problem for those on the ground in Mozambique. As we started to engage with Richard, we started to hear about the challenges around internet penetration within Mozambique, which is low, around 21%. And even when you factor in 3G coverage, it still remains low, around 34%. And the cost of internet is exceptionally high. Now, these were problems we became aware of. And of course, as soon as we heard about these, we thought about other great Cardano projects, other projects we were familiar with who could help to solve this and have real world impact. And for those who've been following the Empowa story, you'll know one of the initiatives we've been spearheading over the last few months is Blockchain for Good. Blockchain for Good was really an idea to get a number of for-profit projects who are trying to make on-the-ground impact, get them into a room, get them talking about each other, seeing where they could collaborate, seeing where they could work with each other to make real impact. And World Mobile was one of the first projects to join the collective. And as we got to know the project better, and I suppose as they got to know us better, we really started to share with them the challenges of connectivity within Mozambique and the opportunity that presented for their project. And so the conversation evolved, and I think it's no secret for those who follow Twitter, those who follow Telegram, and Richard alluded to it. We really started to say to them, how about you come and help us, solve this problem within Mozambique by offering world mobile connectivity. And further to that, why don't you use our homes as the initial infrastructure on which you can launch your air nodes and your earth nodes and the different aspects of their project that are needed to provide on-the-ground connectivity. And so that's what they've done. They've decided to kind of come on board and use these first homes that we're going to be financing to mark their launch into the Mozambican market. And for that reason, we see these homes that we'll be financing really as the first RealFi NFT, as really enabling not only affordable housing within Mozambique, but also affordable internet and connectivity. And I don't think I need to stress the point that having a well-built, safe, secure home with internet connectivity that opens you up to the broader ecosystem, whether it be Web3 or just usual internet opportunities, is really will fundamentally impact the lives of those who have exposure to it. So I think it's exciting that we're able to say, that the on-the-ground impact is going to be dual force, and that we're finally realizing some of the Cardano missions, which was to make real-world impact using the blockchain technology that they've built. If we skip to the next slide, Len. So with that, we'll be launching our first NFT, the Empowa and World Mobile Seed NFT. And as I've mentioned, this will enable not only the homes that we've spoken about, but also connectivity on the ground. And just to give you a sense of what this NFT will enable, it has been alluded to, this project alone will be increasing the mortgage market within Mozambique by 5%. Now that is a kind of always, whenever I say it out loud, a crazy concept to me, but it's both a product of coming off such a low base, and obviously the impact that this new revolutionary model of lease to own or lease to buy means in a world that's got broken financial systems. It's also expected to decrease the price of connectivity by half on the ground with the World Mobile connectivity. So then if we skip over to the next slide. So to run through some of the key details, we are looking to fund a minimum of 30 families. So the NFTs, as we've outlined them right now, and the number of NFTs we plan to mint will, if all bought, will finance the 30 home or 30 families. We do hope that with increased demand, we can look to expand that, as Richard's alluded to. There's a huge demand on the ground. There's even 50 families that have already been vetted. So there's definitely demand and the ability to finance more of the homes that Casaway are building. But for now, we're setting our sights on impacting those 30 homes. The cost of each impact card is going to be 250 ADA plus 50 EMP. And the reason why we've split it in that way, we obviously, of course, want to support the Cardano ecosystem, price our NFT within ADA. As we've spoken before, our intention is to accept more and more of the price of our impact cards in EMP. The reality right now at this early stage of the project, if we were to accept 100% of the impact cards in EMP, we would have to cash that EMP out in order to pay for the on-the-ground expenses. And that would, with the liquidity that's available, really depreciate the price of the EMP token. What we've already started to discuss with our partners, both our creative partners and on-the-ground partners, is to accept more and more of their project finance in EMP or their rewards in EMP. And many of the people are working with us to reach those targets. And as we get more of a commitment to accept more of the price in the EMP, we will pass that on and accept more and more of the cost of the impact cards in EMP until 100% of the price is accepted in the token. For now, what we are doing is taking what is the Empowa share. So of course we're raising money for the housing on the ground, and then we of course, as part of our business model, collect some of the funds to enable the Empowa project. That we're taking obviously in our own token. We're happy to take our own token and to sit on that. So that represents the 50 EMP. The other reason why we've added the 50 EMP is to create buy demand or buy pressure, as we are going to be bringing on hopefully a lot of the World Mobile community into this NFT and exposure into the Empowa project and looking to own one of our impact cards. They will need to go to the market, buy 50 EMP, and of course create extra demand. So with the impact card, what does that enable? Or what does that provide you? How does that reward the impact you'll be making? Well, the term of the impact card will be 10 years, so 120 payments, a bit like a bond. And each month you will receive 3.5 EMP per month. You're expected to receive 3.5 EMP per month. What's really interesting is we are locking in the rate of EMP fixed for that full period. So I think a way to think about it is you will be getting this discounted rate of EMP for the next 120 months. As EMP goes up in price and up in value, that the projected return will still be paid at 3.5 EMP. So the way I've thought about it is, if you had bought an NFT right at the outset of, say, Bitcoin that promised you 1 Bitcoin per month valued at $1,000, as Bitcoin obviously increased in value, that NFT would also have increased in value, because now you would have had a locked smart contract that guaranteed you 1 Bitcoin, which initially was worth $1,000, but as we all know, has gone up significantly in price and will continue to go up significantly in price. So really locking in the number of EMP at this early stage at this evaluation entitles you to hopefully the upside as the project gets more value locked in. And talking about more value being locked in, just these 30 homes that we've mentioned, that will lock up just under 1% of the total EMP that will be minted. So you can see how quickly, as more projects come online and as more institutions move in to partner with Empowa, how more EMP can be locked up and obviously the value can appreciate. In addition to the 3.5 EMP per month that will be the expected return, our projected return, we're also going to be offering impact rewards. Now, we have been speaking to World Mobile along with many other projects, some through the Blockchain for Good Collective and some outside of the collective, around partnering around many of these impact cards and NFT projects. And as we had more and more conversations with each of these projects, we started to realize that there was a need to reward not only our community, but their community as well for the impact that they'll be making. And as those conversations continued, we realized that a project agnostic token that could be exchanged between different projects, that could be used to purchase things within different projects, and that rewarded people for the impact they were making, would add real value. And so with that in mind, along with many of the other projects, we are putting forward impact rewards. You can find out more details about it on the website impactrewards.io. But in short, these rewards will be able to be transferred for different aspects within some of our partner projects and potentially also within the Empowa project itself. Whether that might be physical goods, whether they may be virtual goods, whether they may be tokens of other projects. So impact rewards will also be able to be converted for EMP. That rate will fluctuate, of course, at the market rate, but we are expecting to be able to reward those who hold the impact card with 4,500 impact rewards per quarter. And as we mentioned, we already have a number of projects who we're in communication with to unlock what this impact rewards could be exchanged for within their project. I think a good way to think of impact rewards is a bit like your bank's loyalty points, or maybe the air miles that you earn when flying. There's something that you can, of course, exchange with the project you distributed them. So in the case of Empowa for our token, or with potentially with World Mobile for products that they offer. But at the same time, it's something that you can maybe go and cash out, as I've mentioned, for car rentals in the case of air miles or hotels, etc. And that will be the same for impact rewards. You'll be able to cash them out for a number of different elements. So the impact rewards themselves, those I think are best followed on the Impact Rewards website and the opportunities that you're able to cash them out for. But in short, in order to reward our community for enabling this impact, we're expecting to reward them both with the EMP, as I've mentioned, at a fixed exchange rate and an expected projected amount of 3.5 EMP per month. And again, to reward you for your impact, we're expecting or projecting to be able to offer 4,500 impact rewards again per quarter. I think that covers, yes, that covers the details of the NFTs themselves. I'd like to just talk a little bit about the World Mobile partnership. So if we move to the next slide. Oh, yes, before we do, I'd like to talk a bit about the underwriter. So we were actually in quite a unique position with this particular NFT and this project, in that we have secured an underwriter. So we can say with full confidence that these homes will be financed or have been financed and will go ahead. Of course, we wanted to be able to engage our community, offer our community an opportunity to support the objectives that we outlined really from the very beginning, and not just simply go to an institution and skip out on the community who I know have been waiting longingly to be able to participate in these NFTs and the impact rewards, etc. So this particular NFT is underwritten by Next Chimmy. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Glenn. For those who maybe are not familiar with the name, they're a Hong Kong-based institution, known probably most famous for their involvement with IOG or IHK right from the very outset. So one of the first backers of the Cardano ecosystem, for their involvement in Emergo and Occamfi. And so they have committed to purchasing any of the NFTs that go unsold, which hopefully there won't be any, and hopefully then we can use them as an underwriter for future projects. But I think this speaks to institutional interest in what we're doing and the realization that being able to lock in the EMP exchange rate at this early point, given the potential upside, is a really exciting opportunity. Glenn, I think now we can move over. So, as you mentioned, this particular NFT, this is a World Mobile and Empowa co-branded NFT, and we really wanted to acknowledge that and thank the World Mobile community as well for enabling the internet that's going to revolutionize connectivity within Mozambique. So, in consultation with them, the World Mobile team, we have agreed to provide access or early access to the EarthNode operators. Those are key members in the community, about 1,000 of them, who really enable the infrastructure on which the internet is built. So we will be airdropping a co-brand NFT to those EarthNode operators. Importantly, that's just an artistic NFT, so it's not one of the Empowa Seed NFTs, as we've mentioned, with all the financial considerations. And that will unlock early access for them to the project so they can go ahead and purchase some of these NFTs. We're really excited about this because this will bring the World Mobile community, bring the eyes of the World Mobile community onto our project. It will also bring a whole new group of community members who will now need to purchase those 50 EMP in order to complete the purchase of the token, and hopefully again get our token into even more wallets and holders' hands to further decentralize our project. So we can maybe now skip over to the timings. Great. So just to talk a bit about the Empowa World Mobile Seed NFT and how to be released. Of course, first and foremost, we want to reward our founding community NFT holders. As we've always said, these people were the first supporters of our project, took the biggest gamble on us, and as promised, need to be rewarded for that. So starting on Monday, the 11th of July, at 12 UTC, premium founding community NFT holders will be able to go ahead and purchase as many NFTs as they would like. Then from the 12th, for the remainder of the week, all founding community NFT holders will have their access granted. They'll be able to go in and purchase any NFTs. On the 18th, all founding community NFT holders, premium and regular founding community NFT holders will be able to go in, make a purchase, as well as those World Mobile EarthNode badge holders that I spoke about briefly in the previous slide. And then they will have 4 days to complete their purchase. And on the 23rd, the public sale will start, which means that anybody who is either a general community member or he hears about the project from the PR that's planned, the influencer coverage that's planned, etc., will be able to go in and make a purchase. I do want to make it clear that we are reserving some of the NFTs for the public sale. So even if there's huge demand both from the founding community and the World Mobile EarthNode operators, which is what we expect, we still want to make sure that those who come to the project and find about it now and don't fall into either of those two buckets have a chance to purchase. But we do want to reward those communities by being able to get that early access. So I think that covers hopefully most of the details around the NFT. I think we can now maybe turn over to an AMA.
Okay, so we're moving on to the AMA. So if you have a question, you can either comment it in the chat, or else you can raise your hand and we can go through and ask you questions as we go. So let me just quickly go to the chat and just see if there's any questions. No questions so far. So yeah, over to you guys. Thanks everyone for so far joining us, and thanks to everyone for speaking so far. Open to any questions related to this. There's a bit that we've spoken about, so yeah, probably a few questions to ask.
Yeah, maybe in addition to questions, if there's any feedback that would also be useful. I mean, we'd like to know what aspects the community is excited about, and where you feel, if anything, we need to consider or feedback stuff that maybe is falling short.
Yeah, so good point. So either questions or any feedback, pretty much just an open forum to talk about anything related to what's been spoken about so far. Let me just add a few people to the chat.
I think maybe also if you'd like to add it to Telegram, then maybe we can keep an eye on that as well. If you prefer to ask the questions in our Telegram chat, we can keep an eye on that and answer them here.
Yeah, so if someone else wants to monitor that, because if I think I'm fixated on the screen.
Sure.
And also from the Empowa team as well, if there's any comments based on what we've spoken about so far as well.
So I see the first question is, what is the token supply of impact rewards?
So coming back to the question around the token supply for impact rewards. So those details are still being finalized. The mechanism for the issuing and the use of impact rewards to redeem other items across different projects is something that's still being finalized, but will certainly be updated through the impact rewards group as more information becomes available. Essentially, the supply is going to be dictated largely by the number of participating projects and how many redeemable items they include in the program. So watch this space.
Yeah, we have a question here. Sorry if you mentioned it. How many NFTs are available?
So I can take that on. So there'll be 3,000 NFTs that will go to supporting the 30 families that we've mentioned, and the impact that will make. We are, of course, given the demand which it spoke to and the exposure that we expect the World Mobile collaboration to bring, we will be considering a phase 2 if needed, if there's sufficient demand, because of course the idea is to make as much impact on the ground. But what we thought would be important is to really have this kind of phase 1 be a set number of NFTs. So for those who do participate and do want to be collectors and want, I suppose, the bragging rights to come with being the first people to support the really first RealFi NFT that's really demonstrating what the Cardano ecosystem is capable of, you are, I suppose, in addition to all the other value adds, have that bragging right in that set, one of those first minted NFTs. So we do hope, as I'm sure Richard will attest, that this has a lot of demand and we can go and finance the rest of them. But yes, there'll be 3,000. Would there be any potential in earning WMT through the Seed NFTs? No, so that's not, for this first collaboration with World Mobile, there won't be any WMT earned through the NFT we've spoken about. Of course, with all our partners, we have conversations that extend beyond just the one project and the first project we've announced. And there's other markets, there's other opportunities. Beira is a great opportunity for World Mobile, so that might be something that we can talk about at a later stage. But what I think maybe is worth considering is the impact rewards that you will, there are potential returns for the NFT. Those, we'll be able to unlock things in a lot of our partner projects. And so there may be some opportunity to get further exposure to the World Mobile project. But again, those conversations are kind of ongoing, so nothing confirmed yet. But something to maybe keep in mind. Are there any restrictions on how many NFTs one can get before public sale? So there are no restrictions. There is a unique quirk about the third-party solution that we're using, who mints and distributes the NFTs, that one can only purchase 20 at a time. So when you go in to purchase, you will see a limit of 20, but that's just a limit per transaction. If you're a mega collector and would like to purchase more, then you can complete the 20 and then complete a second transaction. But yeah, there'll be no limitations, no restrictions. But as I mentioned, we are going to be keeping some back for the general public sale.
Okay, so feel free to ask your questions in the chat, or also raise your hand as well. And also the Empowa team, if there's anything we want to add or clarify as well, that's good too.
Thanks. Just a good comment there. Yeah, I get that, Paul, probably wanting to digest it. Well, obviously all the information will be on the website. And to Tim, yeah, excited for this project. As I said at the beginning, I wish that somehow we could bottle both the excitement on the ground and the excitement that we picked up from Poland in terms of the innovation that we're actually doing here, because really the scale of what we're doing, you know, we've spoken about it, we've known it, we've done, but to be doing it and to see the results of it, I think are what's making it really, really exciting. And for those of you who've come on board the journey from the start or getting on board now, really, not only is it exciting, but I really think it's going to be extremely rewarding, because what we're doing is very, very innovative. It's creating, well, it is already creating huge value on the ground. People are looking for this. People are looking for new ways of doing it, for ways that are practical, achievable. And right from the beginning, you know, from the white paper, if you look at the white paper in terms of the objectives, we are taking those steps, we're on that journey. And really, I think, you know, the excitement of that, thanks for sharing that. It's fantastic. And I really wish I could bottle it and share it with everybody out there.
So maybe just to kind of comment on the questions in the chat. The first one is, we will be hosting an AMA along with World Mobile early next week. I think we're still going to confirm the exact date and time. So for those who are still trying to digest the information, that's another opportunity to come on board and come online and ask any questions both for the Empowa project and World Mobile, and you know, understand the impact we're going to be making. It's Danny. The question is around why our impact rewards also forming part of the remuneration. Well, as we've mentioned, primarily the EMP at that locked rate is the main potential reward for the impact card. As we've said, as we've been speaking to projects, both for mobile and some of the other projects we're speaking about for future NFTs, this kind of desire to be able to reward people across ecosystems for the impact that they're making really came to the fore. And so we thought it's one of those tricky ones. If we didn't include them in our first NFT, then we may have some disappointed collectors when we introduce them in NFT 2, 3, and 4. So we'd rather include them, and we've tried to, as much as possible for this first NFT, release a NFT in a way that we expect to continue. So the temptation was always to rush the first NFT, potentially to maybe have not fully thought it out and all its considerations. And then, and anyone who's followed maybe the Telegram a few months ago, there was, you know, lots of people were getting frustrated that we were maybe taking our time to think this all through, and whether the first NFT would be kind of would work within the broader ecosystem, within the Explorer, within the platform, etc. We really wanted to do that as much as possible. So we've taken our time to think this through and then to structure the NFT in a way that it looks as similar to the future NFTs that we plan to release as possible, so that those who participate now don't miss out on stuff that may have come at a later stage. So we knew we were having these conversations. We knew that this was going to become a reality. We knew it needed a bit more work, but we also didn't want to delay this first NFT. And so we would rather reward our community with the potential of impact rewards now, and then continue to build that with our other partners. And at least they know that they're getting those and will be able to unlock the value it may create later, rather than exclude it. And then in NFT 2 or 3, people go, well, I purchased the first one, why didn't I get impact rewards? Especially since it's a conversation we know that's really ongoing.
And it's worth just highlighting as well that the question is, why isn't EMP the primary reward? And I think it is important to highlight that it is still the primary reward. So the impact rewards are, think of them as a bonus. So we could have not given the impact rewards and you would have still got all the EMP as the primary reward that you should receive that NFT. So, but I think it's great that you're just getting this bonus on top. So, you know, hopefully it's something that people will appreciate, that we've kind of, I guess, taken that time to include that.
So Clover Nodes, I see you've asked, it seems like the return per impact card is quite low versus the cost of the card itself. Of course, as you mentioned, it's your opinion. We appreciate it. We appreciate that feedback. I think what we're seeing it as is locking in, as we've mentioned, a rate for EMP over, as we mentioned, 120 months. So, you know, right now, you know, you can go and look at the market what 3.5 EMP per month would be worth. You can do your calculations, of course. You know, with the low liquidity, I imagine that price might increase with the demand for 50 EMP, as you mentioned. And of course, as we move forward with other projects where more EMP is needed within the ecosystem to kind of purchase the impact cards and to reward some of our partners, the demand will increase, that will increase the value. So I suppose for people who buy into what Empowa is able to enable on the ground and the ecosystem as a whole and the potential of the project, it may seem like getting 3.5 EMP in a year or 2 or 3 years time may actually make it a very worthwhile NFT to hold. But of course, it's not financial advice. I can't predict what the price of EMP will be. I don't intend to be able to predict the price of what EMP will be, but we are working really hard to create value within the ecosystem. And if we're successful in that, then that will be reflected in the token.
We have a question here by, it's Danny again. What determined the figure of 3.5 EMP, out of curiosity?
That's a good question. It was worked out, effectively, it's actually worked out on the structure of the agreement. But basically there are two levels. If you look at our white paper, what we call above the line and below the line. So there's an agreement above the line, which is back to the NFT holder. So there's that agreement. And then there's an agreement below the line, which is the agreement with Casa Real on the ground. And what we've always said is we're trying to get a balance. We're trying to maximize impact and maximize reward. So how do we get a balance without being extractive on the ground? How do we get a balance in terms of getting reward to the NFT holder versus the return? Because at the end of the day, this is coming from the person on the ground. So we're trying to get that balance right. So to be honest, right now it's a little bit of a guesstimate, if you like. We've worked it on that basis. We are refining that model to really, we're working on that to some extent. Again, remembering this is the first. So as we go, and I think you see Andrew nodding his head there because Andrew's been doing a lot of work, and I don't know if for those of you who watched the previous AMA, Andrew and the team have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes on this. It's early days, and in the coming weeks, we will highlight in a lot more detail in terms of the mathematics and the thinking behind all of this. And it'll give that to you in a lot more detail and it's a lot more of a scientific approach that we're taking. But again, as I said to you right in the beginning, the challenge for us is that this is all new. So this is not as if this kind of stuff has been done before, because the whole challenge, why has this not worked historically? For the very simple reason that we keep addressing is exchange rate. You know, if you've seen any of my previous presentations, I often say, why would we invest in Beira if I can invest in Berlin? The risk, the currency, those issues, and that's what we're trying to mitigate and find mechanisms to do that. And that's where the blockchain and the innovations that Empowa is creating That's where the real excitement comes in, because what we are attempting to do here and what we are busy doing is creating that disconnect by creating value above the line, according to the white paper, without extracting it from below the line. And that's the really interesting part of what's happening here. And that's the whole joy of what we're achieving here, which is the really interesting part of Empowa. I hope that answers your question.
Glenn, what you said also actually made me think of something I'd like to add around the impact rewards. So one of the things we've spoken about in detail throughout the Empowa project is around creating value for our collectors that's not extractive on the ground. And so some of the ways we've spoken about that and some of the ways we're actually exploring is partnering with other projects and unlocking stuff within that project that is valuable to you as a collector, but maybe doesn't require us to jack up the interest rate and kind of fall in line with traditional financial sectors. And so there are projects we're speaking to around future collabed NFTs where the NFT will unlock stuff within their project. You can think of some of the metaverse partners as an example. But at the same time, we needed a mechanism for doing that. We needed a mechanism for creating value that would move between projects. And I think that's where the impact rewards really came out. We'll say we have projects who maybe want to be able to reward for the impact that's being made, that want to add value, but it's not always so obvious. It's not always like they can just give something, a piece of land in the metaverse as an example. So how do we do that? How do we create a mechanism to be able to reward people and create value in the Empowa ecosystem, in the NFTs that we mint, and reward people for their impact, again, without necessarily having to now go and impact the developer and ultimately the person on the ground. And so that's where the impact rewards really came from. Again, we have partners who have really interesting things at play. Some of them, as I mentioned, they might be physical goods, they might be virtual goods, might also be things within other projects. And yeah, hopefully that further kind of sweetens the deal.
Okay, we've got a new question here. Will the monthly EMP rewards be airdropped directly to the wallet with the impact NFTs?
More than likely, in a similar way to the EMP distribution, it'll be a claim process. And that's really just to deal with the fact that native tokens have to be accompanied by ADA. I think maybe at some point in the future, once Babel fees on Cardano are implemented, if there is an opportunity to be paying Cardano transaction fees using EMP, then that might not be the case. But until that's still a requirement for the Cardano blockchain, it's probably not practical for us to be sending ADA with all of the EMP returns. So obviously the ability to claim any EMP rewards that are being paid back, obviously you would have to have the NFT in your wallet that you're making the claim from to be able to do that. So as we get closer to that point where that first EMP return needs to be claimed, we will obviously communicate the process for doing that.
I think what's interesting there, of course, is obviously when the NFT is then sold, whoever then holds it will be able to go in and claim that EMP. And of course, that again, can speak to the future value of the NFT potentially. So you can imagine a world where somebody who's bullish on EMP and feels that this NFT that's locked in a rate of 3.5 EMP per month is a worthwhile thing to have within their collection. They might want to acquire it from the original owner at a high price, and for those maybe who are more bearish on the token, they might decide that they would like to trade that. But again, it's that speaks, I suppose, to kind of the potential of being an early collector of any of the Empowa NFTs. You've got in at an earlier stage, and that hopefully means that the potential rewards are higher for supporting impact really on the ground. As we mentioned, 30 families, you'll be able to at least, at the very least, claim that you increase the mortgage market in Mozambique by 5%. this NFT. I think that's some pretty cool bragging rights at the very least.
Yeah, thanks for your question, Alejandro, and also everyone else that has asked questions so far. Feel free to, ask more questions and provide feedback as well. We're an hour and 15 minutes into the town hall, so yeah, open to more conversation. And here. Otherwise, we'll obviously leave it for a little bit longer, but if there's aren't any more questions, we'll probably conclude it in the next few minutes if there isn't any more questions, but we'll leave it open for a bit longer. Okay, will the PowerPoint shown be publicly available? I'm sure there's no reason why that couldn't.
Yeah, absolutely. That a very lightly edited version of this town hall.
Oh my gosh.
Well, which I think Blaine is already committed to, and thanks, Blaine. will also be shared. The details will also be made available on the website. I think after this call, the pages should be live and ready to go. And again, I can reiterate that we're looking to line up an AMA, I think early next week, with both the World Mobile team, potentially some of the team from IOHK and ourselves. So if over the weekend you any other questions come to mind, that's a great opportunity to jump on, find out some more, and just talk RealFi with some other projects that are in that space.
Yeah, so the edited version of this will be posted out, as well as the slideshow. Plus we have the web page as well live on Empowa. Plus after this, we'll add the FAQs as well to the website. So that should answer some of the frequently asked questions as well. But we can add to that as well if there's more questions from the community that aren't answered currently on the website. We can add to that over time.
Sure.
So we have Paul, someone from Telegram asked, what if all 3,000 NFTs are sold before public sale? I've said some will be kept back, but how many?
So that's a good question. I don't think we've finalized that number. When we have, we can communicate that.
Yeah, so we'll elaborate on that. On the social media channels, FAQs.
How can we obtain a badge as an EarthNode operator in order to mint NFTs? So the EarthNode operators will have a artistic only airdrop, NFT airdropped to their wallets. We had those wallets supplied to us by the World Mobile team, and that NFT will be, I suppose, your entry ticket, your badge that unlocks the early access. So those we'll obviously just finalize the details with the World Mobile team on the exact date, but I would expect those to go out middle of next week, Wednesday, Thursday. But yeah, well, obviously again, that will be obviously communicated both the EarthNode operators through World Mobile, through their official channels, and obviously also shared on all our channels for any EarthNode operators who follow us as well. And if you don't, please do.
Lovely. Any other questions? Feel free.
I think the question about the PowerPoint was followed up by saying it was more just around the figures that were in the PowerPoint, but all those figures will be on the website, so you should be able to get all the information that was in the PowerPoint also on the website as well.
Yeah, and so this town hall will be shared on the edited version, obviously, will be shared on YouTube, as well as in the description of that, we'll share the actual slideshow that we presented tonight as well. So on the YouTube video, plus on the website.
Yeah, Blaine, and maybe I can just actually also just say to the community, thanks for, again, but also to say, this, I've been reading a lot recently around the potential of RealFi. And, during the crypto winter, people are really starting to look for value and real value. It's always been our belief that, this is one of the real examples of RealFi and real value. So I would ask that you share that. And that's one of the reasons why, the partnership with World Mobile for us is so exciting, because it is about real value on the ground, real impact. So please share it. Let's get it out there, because this is the way that we can turn both Cardano. I believe that these are the kinds of projects that can really make Cardano a major success. The whole philosophy, the reason we came to Cardano in terms of the scientific approach, the academic rigor, the financial capabilities, that was the key parts for our building block, as well as the African focus and the understanding of the potential that this kind of technology could have on the financial systems. And I think that's exactly what we're trying to demonstrate, and where the potential lies. So the more we can share that out there amongst the broader community, the broader Cardano community, the broader crypto community, even better. So we'd really appreciate your support in that, in getting it out there, because I think this is how we do it.
Yeah, definitely. So before this town hall, we previously shared our partnership with World Mobile on Twitter. So for those that are following us on Twitter, feel free to hop on there, like it, comment, retweet as well. Yeah, that would be very much appreciated, and will help us kind of get the word out there.
And to that, this is, we've agreed with World Mobile that we wanted to share the details of this RealFi NFT first with our community, which is why we announced the partnership and not the details of this NFT yet. So for those on the call, you really are getting it first. For our community, we really do want to always ensure that they have the first and earliest access and the most access to our project. But you can expect to see World Mobile's communication of this and promotion of it likely starting probably after the weekend. It's never good to make big announcements on Friday. So
yeah, so stay tuned.
okay,
Great.
Okay, so I think that's everything. So thanks everyone for joining. Really appreciate it. We will again share the edited version of this on YouTube and share that on Twitter as well, along with the slideshow. We will be updating the website with this NFT information along with the FAQ. So if you want to learn more about it, hop onto empowa.io, and all the information kind of will be on there. If there's any question that aren't answered on the website, feel free to hop on Discord, Telegram, and ask your questions. We'll answer them as best as we can on there. And also those that are asked a lot, we'll also update them on the FAQs as well. That's kind of like will be updated on a regular basis as well. So yeah, thank you everyone. I think that concludes everything, and we will see you in the next one. Thanks everyone.
Thanks guys. Bye.
Appreciate it. See you guys.
Thanks guys. Thanks a lot.
All right, bye.